Hey everyone, so this is going to be a more rambly video. Like, I know you guys know that I love to talk, I can talk. But today I'm going to be talking about things that need to stop in the collecting community. Now, when I say like things that need to stop, it's just things that like I've noticed people do as I've rejoined the community, and it's just like little things here and there that like irk me and make me feel some type of way. And I know that you guys feel some type of way about like some of these things too. I asked you guys on Twitter to give me some suggestions. So thank you to those who submit your suggestions, and some of you guys might feel, you know, like some type of way about all of these things. Some of you guys might agree with none of these things, and like I totally respect that. And this is just me out here like ranting to the camera. This isn't me being like, oh, like we should attack or like dox anyone who does these things, and like I'm not trying to initiate things like that at all. So I just wanted to disclaim that like this is just for people who like want to rant or like have been feeling some type of way about these things and like, you know, want to hear me talk about them. Or maybe someone who does one of these things watches this and maybe it's just like, hey, you know, a little wake up call that's like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing these things. That is it. Overall, like I'm not making this video to start drama is basically what I'm trying to say. Now, some of these things are like things that are more personal, I guess. Some of these things pertain more to like me being a YouTuber, but I guess like general collectors can get questions or like have these things sent to them as well, and then like some of them are just more about like the collecting community in general. So if any of you guys have been like slightly irked by any of these things, feel free to leave it in the comments, you know, like I'm not here to name drop people, so please don't name drop anyone either. Maybe I'll describe a few people, but that's it. So this is in no particular order. So the first thing on my list, and I get asked this a lot, I know other YouTubers get asked this a lot because I saw them talking about on Twitter like literally last night, but asking people how they make their money. I get if I had a dime for like every time I got asked this, I literally would be like dirty rich. Like I could drop out of school right now and be perfectly fine. So yeah, like people are always asking me like, oh, how do you afford all of this stuff? Like what's your job? Where are you getting all this money from? And for me personally, I feel like that's a completely inappropriate comment to ask because you really just wouldn't ask anyone this kind of question. I realize that majority of the people who are asking this question are younger people who are like, oh my god, like I want to be able to afford these things, or I want like this photo card and I want to be able to buy this and that. So like what kind of jobs do I need to get? I get that, but like at the same time, I do feel like it's kind of invasive because you, like I said, wouldn't just ask anyone that. And quite frankly, I feel like I don't owe you an explanation for like how I'm able to afford these things, and like how I get my money is my business. So, you know, if I suck dick for money, if I shake my ass for money, or if I like, you know, have a real paying job, not saying that, you know, sucking dick isn't a real paying job, because if that's what you do, I respect it. But basically, that's just none of your business. This is gonna sound like first world problems, which obviously is me being sarcastic, but like it also just makes me feel guilty for like being able to afford these things. Like I shouldn't be able to buy all this stuff, or like I don't deserve all of this stuff. And so when people just ask that question, I realize that they have good intentions, but at the same time we're not friends, and that just like crosses a boundary. And it kind of like coincides with the oh you're so rich commenting on like people's money, just like period. And I think that just like talking about money in general, like I'm not here to talk about my finances, what's in my savings account, what's in my bank account, and all that stuff. I'm here to show you like what I bought. And this one also kind of pertains to me being a YouTuber, but like I said, this can also apply to just like any collector in general. But when people tell me what to do with my collection is like one of my biggest pet peeves. When people are telling me how to display something, when people are telling me like, oh, why do you have this album? Why do you have that album? Why, you know, are you doing it like this? There's a very fine line, I feel like, between suggestions, which I do appreciate. I appreciate suggestions, constructive feedback, criticism, all of that, you know? Tone is everything is basically what I'm trying to say. When you're like, why the hell are you doing that? Kind of just like questioning what I'm doing instead, rather than like giving me suggestions, that's when like I draw the line, and like I start to get insulted because what I do with my collection really is none of your business. And how many times am I gonna say it's none of your business, you know? But at the end of the day, like, it's my collection. I'll do what I want to do with my collection. And if you want to do something with your collection, like, for example, if you want to buy new shelves, go get you new shelves. Don't keep telling me to get new shelves, even though I know I need new shelves. The shelves thing just like hits a little too close to home, you know, because like I had that whole live stream and like I was hella irritated the whole live or whatever because I had told people that I didn't want to buy new shelves, but then people still continue to yell at me and be like, why aren't you buying new shelves? You need to buy new shelves. Just buy a new shelf, like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I already told you I don't want to. Like, can you please just respect my decision and stop telling me to do so? This kind of ties into my next point, but like also making people feel bad about their collections. And I really don't get why that is a thing. We're all here to do the same thing. We're all here to buy photo cards. We're all here to support our faves. And like the fact that people feel the need to like have this be a hierarchy and have people feel bad about their collection because like it's smaller, like they can't afford certain things, is something that just doesn't sit right with me, because that is very like capitalistic and like narcissist, you know? You think that like who the hell would do that, you know? But like I personally have not experienced it myself, but I've had people tell me about how like bigger collectors or like people who have like obviously the expenses and finances to like afford this stuff to be like telling someone like that's all you have for your collection? Like, why the fuck do people need to drive people down like that, you know? Like, I just really just don't get it. People collect at their own pace. People have their own collecting rules, and like, people want to collect different things than like what you want to collect. And I actually got asked in my live stream like, oh, so what is your take on like fake photo cards and like collecting them? If that's what you want to do, go ahead. I have no issue with that. If fake photo cards is what you want to buy simply because you can't afford it, or like you really see no reason in buying like photo cards, like actual like pieces of paper, I respect it, you know? Who am I to tell you what to do with your collection? If that's what you want to do, if that's what's gonna make you feel fulfilled, go ahead. I know like people do that all the time with more expensive cards too. Like for example, with Luna cards, I know that there was recently like someone on Instagram who made a bunch of replicas, because we all know that Luna photo cards go for really freaking expensive. At the end of the day, it's your collection, and the only person that your collection needs to please really is you, you know? And so, you know, if you want to collect a certain member, if you don't want to collect a certain member, if you want to do this, that with your collection, who gives a fuck? Just do it, you know? Oh my god, Nike sponsor me. For me, I would never collect fakes, but if that's what you want to do, I respect it. That's like the whole like key thing here is respect. Just, you know, before you say something, just take a step back and be like, is this gonna make me sound like an asshole? And if it does, then don't fucking say it. Is me demanding someone to get a new shelf gonna be like assholey of me? Might be. I think the first thing at the top of my list is quote your own price. And so for me personally, I always see this in the Red Velvet photo card hashtag where resellers or like people who are wanting to sell their cards will put up a card and put quote your own price. My issue with quote your own price is that I feel like it really just wastes time. These resellers, especially resellers, always are like, don't waste my time. And then they also want quote your own price. Obviously, people who are like new to collecting or people who like don't know how much something costs is gonna just ballpark it, and like these resellers get offended when we don't give them the price that they want. And I'm just like, well, clearly if you know what price that you want for this item, how about you just fucking put it? Like, I don't get it. What is the point? Because are you hoping that somebody will like offer you higher than like what you're intending to sell it for? Because chances are they aren't. I hate to break it to you, but they're not. And I seriously just don't get it. And also like quote your own price on like album photo cards. I'm like, girl, album photo cards are literally $10 or less, especially if the album is in print. Like, I don't get why we're selling album photo cards for more than $10 when I could easily buy the album. If you're gonna like, people who are selling photo cards for like $35, right? I could easily buy like 1 or 2 albums with that. I just don't understand why like, one, buyers continue to buy overpriced cards like that. I get it, like desperation, all that stuff, but really you could support your fave and just like buy 1 or 2 albums yourself. And these resellers wanting buyers to like pay for their albums like by buying their photo card or like all of this. Like I had seen a La Rouge photo book, not even photo book, a La Rouge like photo card, like the ones that came from the photo books. I saw someone selling one of those on eBay for $50. The starting price is $50 and they're expecting people to like pay more for this card. Honey, so what I'm hearing is that you're just wanting people to pay like for your photo book, like because you're not a collector and like you feel like people will like reimburse you for your photo book by selling this photo card. The photo book isn't even $50. Like literally you could buy 2 photo books with $50. I really don't get it, and that is just so disrespectful because I feel like all these resellers and like people like that are just trying to take advantage of the community. And I like, obviously I'm protective over the community because my subscribers, my friends, majority if not all, are all collectors, and I'm just like, you know, wouldn't want anyone to be taking advantage of us like that. And more importantly, when people sell cards for like higher than they should be, then like everyone thinks that it's okay to sell the cards really expensive. Like for example, when the Irene photo card sold for $500, we were all joking about it like when it happened because we were just like in such disbelief. But I feel like that just basically set like the tone for all of the finale cards because bitches are always trying to sell them for like $30, $40, $50 and higher, and I'm just like, at that point you might as well buy an album. You might as well buy 5 albums. And so yeah, basically kind of going back to my point, my issue with quote your own price is also like when people aren't transparent about like the bids, especially when they just have people messaging them and they're like, oh, so like, yeah, they're just communicating with like everyone who is bidding and they're like, yeah, this person bid $30, this person bid $35, are you gonna outbid them, blah, 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 blah. And for me, like there's just like zero transparency there, and I just feel like the seller could easily be lying to me, and I hate that. So like, if you're gonna do quote your own price, at least put the people in a group chat. At least put it up for auction on eBay so that everyone can see like what the price is, or like have people bid on like your post in the comments, you know? I feel like transparency is key, and when people just have like quote your own price, DM me your price or whatever, like I feel like just really easily, and I'm pretty sure that I'm like positive like this has probably happened to me before, like I don't have rock solid proof, but like I had a feeling where like, you know, somebody will want to sell something for like a higher price, so I'll bid like let's say $20 on it, and then nobody will bid on it, but they'll just wait like a few hours and they'll message me and be like, okay, yeah, somebody said 25, and then like they're hoping that I'm gonna be desperate enough to be like, oh yeah, okay, I'll go up to 30. And I feel like this kind of ties into my next point, and it's kind of very similar to quote your own price, but something that sellers do is like DM me for price. Why don't you just put the price? Like it'll save me, it'll save you a lot of time, especially resellers, like going back to my point, that are like, oh, don't waste my time. So like when I DM you for the price and I'm not interested in it, like they automatically label us what, time wasters, and I'm just like, okay, well you weren't putting the price, I wanted to see how much it was going for. I'm not like telling you that I was gonna buy it, so like I really don't see how that is time wasting. Literally just put the price in your post. Just do it. It'll save you so much time, and it's really not that hard. It's really not. I really don't understand like what the point of DM me for price is anyway. Like I don't understand what the secrecy is, because people are gonna DM you for it and you're gonna tell them anyway, so like you might as well put it on the post, right? Did I not speak facts? Did I not? And so like I had this issue with like this reseller quite a while back, and I think it was kind of like this time, around this time last year, and this seller had already gotten dragged for filth like this year because they were apparently selling fake promo albums. But like overall, they're just like a really fucking shitty person. I said I wasn't gonna name drop, but if you know this seller, you know, and if you don't, then you don't. But this reseller is just an asshole, period. Like when somebody told them that they didn't want to buy something, they made fun of them and like called them poor. My personal story was that they were posting like a bunch of Red Velvet promo albums in the hashtag, and so obviously like me being Perfect Velvet trash, I messaged them and they didn't post Perfect Velvet, but I asked them like, oh, do you have like Perfect Velvet by chance? And they're like, sure. it's this price. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, can I see pictures? And they're like, we'll send you pictures after you pay for it. And I'm like, that makes zero sense, because obviously like I want to see what the signatures look like before I buy it, so like I can see if they're manager signed or if they're even like just legit, period, you know? Basically, I was just going back and forth with the seller, and they were like, okay, well, like I'll send you pictures or whatever. So they sent me pictures and the signatures were basically sus. And then I was like, yeah, like let me just think about it and I'll tell you, because I also wanted to get other people's feedback. And then the seller was like, well, you told me that you were gonna buy. And I was like, no, I didn't. I said that I wanted to see pictures to see if I wanted to buy. And basically, like, this reseller the whole time was just pressuring me into buying it and like making me feel like shit for not buying it. And then they ended up blocking me. I don't see how you could like treat your customers or just like anyone like that anyway. But like, this is one of those people that's like DM me for price and then is so quick to call out people for like being time wasters. And I'm just like, you do realize that like people wouldn't waste your time if you just put the price in the post. What's not clicking? Like, I don't get it. Okay, now these next 2 points kind of go hand in hand, and it's like pressuring buyers and then like also like buyers not having great communication skills. So like obviously sellers shouldn't be pressuring buyers like obviously like that reseller did to me, because honestly, let's be real, it just makes me not want to buy that album. That's obviously gonna make me uncomfortable, and I'm not gonna want to do business with somebody who's like making me uncomfortable, you know? So like if I already did not want to buy it, if you're pressuring me, I'm for sure not gonna want to buy it. It's a totally different thing when a buyer though like will tell you that they're gonna buy it and they're gonna pay for it. The time comes around like when they tell you that they're gonna pay for it and then they never pay, right? That's a totally different thing. In that case, like as a seller, you're totally entitled to like being angry, and like I guess like still like you shouldn't pressure the buyer anyway, because like I mean, hello, like if you had a brain, you would have realized that the buyer just like was trying to push it off and like didn't want to actually buy the album and was basically too shy to let you down, you know? That is like a shitty thing in the community. This basically should be a comfortable environment for everyone. Buyers, just like please just communicate with your seller if you don't want to buy something anymore, because really like it wastes our time when you tell us that you want to buy something, we hold it for you for like however many days, and then the time that you're supposed to pay comes and you don't, and like it's super annoying because like we could have had a bunch of buyers that like were interested and like we already turned down because you said that you wanted it. And like really, just as a seller, we will appreciate it so much better if you just tell us like, I don't want it anymore. It literally is that easy, and it like takes the stress off of your back, because like then you're like, oh, like now I have to like come up with another lie for the seller as to like why I can't pay, when literally you can just easily tell me that you're not interested anymore and I'll be like, okay, cool, you know, and like that's it, we'll move on. Some sellers might, but like if that seller can't respect the fact that you changed your mind or that you don't want to buy something and you tell them up front, keep in mind a keyword up front, that point turned into a complete tangent, but I have like my list of things here and I'm like checking them off as I go. Okay, another thing is pricing by member. This is something that annoys me and I see people doing to this day. I don't understand why people try to price members differently based off like their popularity. I really don't get it, and honestly, like really, it's just insulting to like the group that you think that one member is more valuable than another member, when literally we have the same chances of pulling like every single member in an album. Like Red Velvet, for example, obviously like all the examples are Red Velvet because I am like a hardcore Red Velvet collector, but like when people try to price Irene for like fucking $500, I'm like, hey, let's lose like a little less extravagant example. So like let's say when someone is selling album cards, like they'll price Irene at like $20 and then like Solgi at $15 and then Joy, Wendy, Yeti at $10, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like I don't get it. If we have the same chances of like pulling these cards, no one member is rarer than the other. This is something that like I feel like took off in the collecting community like kind of this week, where like people were annoyed. And I'm laughing because I know this person and this person is my friend. But basically when people put irrelevant hashtags under their sales posts, and like I get it, you're trying to like get more exposure for your post. So like for example, if I made a Red Velvet selling post and I put like Twice and Itzy and 17 and Wonho, Monsta X and all these other groups hashtags in my post, then it's like, why the fuck am I putting those other artists hashtags if like it's only Red Velvet in the post? I get it, like the seller is trying to like gain more traction, like have more people see their post, but I promise you, nobody is going into the Twice photocard tag for Red Velvet photo cards. When you're going into the Twice photocard like hashtag, I don't know about you, but like I would only be looking for Twice cards. So like when I see a Red Velvet photo card, like I just glance over it because I'm like, okay, that's not what I'm looking for. If I was looking for a Red Velvet photo card, I would go into the Red Velvet photo card hashtag, right? Like, doesn't that make sense? I know a lot of people were upset about this because they're like, oh, well, like it clutters the hashtag and blah, 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 blah. And like, yeah, like it really does because like aside from like other sales, other groups like in photocard hashtags, for some reason, well, I know why, because like obviously Red Velvet is like a cake type, but like I don't understand why like there's like these group of like this like chain or like mafia of like bakers and like cake decorators or whatever, like in the Red Velvet hashtag, like Red Velvet photo card specifically, they just post a bunch of pictures of them promoting their cakes, and I'm like, what the fuck? Nobody is in here to look at your cakes, like and it just like pisses me off so much because like it'll just be like 10 different accounts that post the same picture at the same time. Ooh, okay, another thing that I've been seeing a lot recently is when people are trying to price things based off their attachment to it. I've been seeing this a lot where people will be like,
hey, so like I really want to keep this card, but I'm also open to selling it. But I'm really emotionally attached to this card, so like offer your price for it.
People shouldn't be having to pay for your like emotional attachment to this item because like you don't want to let it go. If you don't want to let it go, then how about you just keep it? You know, like I don't see the point of like you like testing the waters and seeing like if someone will pay you higher for the card than like you should be selling it for. And I feel like that's just like super annoying, like a super stupid reason to justify you overpricing something, is that like you didn't want to let it go, because if you don't want to let it go, then just don't sell it. Like nobody's forcing you to sell it, really. Like, yeah, that's just like something that I've been seeing a lot, and every time I see it, I'm always just like, I don't give a fuck if you like love this photo card to death and you tuck it in every night and you like sleep with it and that's why you're like too scared to get rid of it. If you're unsure about selling it, just don't. Okay, I think that's like it. This video got kind of long, but like I think that's it for like everything that I personally want to talk about. There was a few honorable mentions about like things that people have issues with, and I'll just like read some of them, but like I won't like go into depth about them unless I might. But some of them are like shipping transparency, which is kind of like letting someone know when you're gonna ship. You know, if you're telling me you're gonna ship out on like Tuesday and you don't ship out on Tuesday, then it's like, I understand that you might have like other stuff to do, and I totally understand that like things come up for whatever reason, like you can't make it to the post office, you know? I totally respect that. Just tell me that like something came up and you're not able to make it. Like just really tell your buyers that like, hey, like I can't send this something out until like today, or like something came up and blah 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 blah, because like I promise you, as buyers, like we will appreciate that 10 times more than if you just drop the bomb on us. Another thing is poor packaging, and then also on top of that, like saying you're not responsible for like damaged or lost mail when you don't even properly package. So like, girl, I have a video if you need, like for anyone who needs, on how to like package stuff properly. It's up there, but like the SparkNotes version is to just put the card in a top loader. If you have ever gotten a trade or a sale before, then like you would have gotten a top loader and you can easily reuse that top loader, you know? Please, whatever you do, don't throw your photo card in an envelope and hope for the best. You know, I understand not everyone has top loaders and stuff like that. Cardboard works just as well. Like you can put the card on like a piece of cardboard and put it into an envelope, and like that'll like prevent the card from bending and all of that. Like that's 10 times better than like just throwing the card in an envelope. Okay, so I'm filming this like after I'm like editing the video. Okay, so I'm filming this like after I filmed this entire video because this was a point that I forgot I wanted to bring up, so if the lighting or anything looks different, that's why. But another thing is Robless jokes, and I know a bunch of you are going to come at me and be like, oh, it's just a joke and blah 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 blah, but at the same time, a joke is only a joke if like both parties are completely comfortable with it. Because I've gotten like a lot of Robless comments like about me, and I personally don't mind them to a certain extent. I know there are some people who completely like don't like them whatsoever, and I respect that, and like I feel like other people should respect that as well, and like shouldn't be coming at these people for like being sensitive or like feeling that their safety is at risk because like people are making Robless comments. Like sure, it might be an empty threat, but like who are you to tell someone that like they're being sensitive or whatever about something? And sure, like I've gotten a few of those comments. Sometimes people will tell me directly like, oh, like you're on my Robless, blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I don't mind those comments. I mean, I don't necessarily think like they're hilarious or that they're funny. Like, I mean, I guess that's the whole point of a joke, but like, I don't think that they're funny. But like, I let them slide. But like, when people are talking about robbing me like behind my back, that's where I draw the line, which is like something that I have had happen to me before. And honestly, it's just a super uncomfortable situation to be in, regardless of like how you mean it. Regardless of how you mean it, how the person is feeling, like the one who is the butt of the joke, is really what matters at the end of the day. But yeah, this was like a lengthy video. I feel like I got a little bit too into it. I feel like I got too heated. If I ever came out like a little too passionate about something, my apologies. At the end of the day, this is the collecting community. This is just us collecting pieces of paper, and like honestly, to me, it's really not that deep. Like it's really not. It's just like some things irk me, and I wanted to adjust them because like obviously if we never adjust them, then like people are gonna keep doing them. But at the end of the day, like we're all here to have a good time. We're all here to enjoy ourselves, and like basically I'm not gonna lose sleep over any of these things. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't think I've thanked you guys this for yet, but thank you so much for 11K. I literally feel like, what, like 2 weeks ago, a week ago, I literally reached 10K, so like, the fact that I gained 1,000 subscribers is like crazy to me. Oh my god, I didn't give you guys a dance cover today. Should I give you guys